So these are the broilers. You can see there were, lots more shelters here with birds in them. We have about 200 of these, and this is the last ones we have of the season. So we saved them just for you so you could see. Over the next week, these will be gone as well. So we got two different kinds of chicken, and a meat bird, which is, muscular and, it's like a running back, as opposed to a layer, which is more like a basketball player, okay? Different phenotype for different things. So we move these every day. So every morning they get moved. I'll move one right now. So let me go through the procedure here. We use a little dolly like this, and we just come up to it. Stick it under the back end. That breaks ground contact. And then we pull them and the birds just walk on the pasture. They just walk to the next spot. Okay? You pull the dolly out, and you just go on to the next one, the next one, the next one, and work your way right through. And in 60 minutes, one person with that little dolly can move 4,500 chickens. There's 75 birds in a shelter. We can move them every 60 seconds. So one person can move 4,500 birds in 1 hour with that little dolly. No petroleum, no engine, no nothing. So here's what I propose. Looking at this, number one, I want you to appreciate that this is mobile infrastructure. The mobile infrastructure allows us to not own the land that the farm is on. What makes this a farm is not zoning, it's that there's a farmer. Okay? So a given piece of land only becomes a farm when there is a farmer activity going on. So if we can take our farmer activity and move it around from spot to spot, suddenly we don't have to own the land that the farming is happening on. So these can be placed anywhere. Land you rent, land you own, land you collaborate with, under an orchard, on an interstate median, the grass around an airport. I mean, wherever you want it, you can place a farm there. That's a game changer. Number two, it's modular. So first it's mobile, second it's modular. Here's the deal. If you want to grow a chicken for Tyson, the first thing you got to do is build a $500,000 house. Would you call that an impediment to entry? Yes. But here's the thing. With this, all you got to do is cancel your Netflix subscription for 2 months. And with pocket change, you can build one of these and be in the chicken business. And if you like it, you can build a second one. And if you like it even more, you can build a third one. And if you're crazy like we are, you can build 200 of them. But you build them over time with retained earnings, debt-free. Dave Ramsey would be proud. Okay? So the modular aspect allows you to get in with an embryo that's small enough to birth, and then you can scale in real time debt-free. That's a game changer. Number three, so we got mobile, modular, and the third one is management intensive. And that's, of course, when the opposition really gets on their high horse and with a great condescending attitude says, yeah, I knew there was a catch. This would require more farmers. As if they can't imagine a worse occurrence in a techno-sophisticated, luxurious culture like ours to demean itself with more lowly farmers. And I would suggest guilty as charged and proud of it, because we have purposely exchanged pharmaceutical intensity, energy intensity, capital intensity for people. And I say that's a fair trade. And what that does is it moves our equity from depreciable physical stuff to skill, information, and relationships. And skill, information, and relationships are all wealth that a bank can't foreclose on and a lending agency can't put a lien on. So I suggest that that's a good trade. And I'm glad that our equity is in skill, knowledge, and relationships. That's better than a 401k plan any day, in my opinion. So I might be poor in cash, but wealthy in skill, knowledge, and relationships. And that's real wealth. Okay, so the size of the farm is, we own here 650 acres. So 175 is pasture and 475 is forest. So we actually go clear up over the top of the mountain there. Okay, so we have a lot more forest than we have pasture. And you know, one of my dreams is someday to be able to run these tours into some of the forest to be able to see more what we're doing there. So there are 20 of us that earn a full-time living from the farm. Now, we also lease about 12 properties in the area within about 25 minutes of here. And so we're actually managing about 2,000 acres. The orthodoxy in our whole country is slurry systems. It's all water-based, okay, and you spread this manure out on your fields. What we do over here is our carbonaceous diaper, like a sponge. So right over here is carbon. This is our carbon storage shed. Wood chips, junk hay, old hay fodder, leaves, sawdust, peanut hulls. I mean, if it's brown, we want it, okay? Carbon over here, storing. Then over here, we're going to feed this hay in these boxes. So the cows put their head in here, they eat the hay in these boxes that are on pulleys that we can raise and lower so that as the carbonaceous diaper builds up, we can keep cranking up the hay boxes, and by the time we get to spring, this might be 4 feet deep in here, all right? Imagine 4 feet deep here. The cows are standing up here. That's why we have the high sides, so the cows don't fall out of the barn, okay? So this just continues to grow up. Now those cows are heavy, and they're tromping out the oxygen, so that deep bedding pack, that carbonaceous diaper, is anaerobic, okay? That means it's fermenting without oxygen, all right? It's anaerobic. And so as we build this bedding pack, we add corn to it. The corn then, the cows, they tromp it all in. The corn then ferments in this bedding pack. So in the spring, when the cows come out and start grazing again, the grass begins to grow, we put in pigs. The pigs then seek the fermented embedded corn, churn it all up like a big egg beater, oxygenate it, aerate it, and turn it from anaerobic to aerobic compost. It composts beautifully, and then we spread it out on the fields, and that's our fertilizer. So that's the fertility program, okay? And what feeds it is the carbon. So the carbon is generated from any source we can find. Most of ours on site here on the farm from tree work, cleaning a fence line, taking down a bunch of junky trees, crooked trees, upgrading the woodlot. We're a big believer in the permaculture concept. We need more forest and fewer trees, okay? And so as we start working with this carbon economy in situ as a fertilizer program, you begin realizing the potential. If we, again, that's the practical daily application, but if you back the camera up a little bit and take a broader view, you realize that if we took all of the money we currently spend on chemical fertilizer, fire control, and insurance paying for burning buildings and infrastructure, and if we invested that in proper forest management, not only would we have far more productive forests, but we would have high organic matter soils, more earthworms, and we would be sequestering carbon in the soil instead of letting it volatilize off in the air. Last thing, when we came to the farm in 1961, I was just 4, we averaged 1% organic matter. When I was the size of these little kids here, I can well remember walking these fields and never setting foot on a piece of vegetation. That's how barren they were. There were large areas, quarter acre in size, that were nothing but rock. Nothing but rock. I mean, not weeds, not grass, not just rock. Where all the top, we'd lost anywhere from 5 to 8 feet of topsoil. Today, we average 8.2% organic matter, from 1% to 8%. Every 1% increase stores an additional 20,000 gallons of water per acre. So 7 percentage points times 20,000 is 140,000 gallons, times 100 acres, just say, 14 million gallons that we can now hold that you couldn't hold in 1961. I'm not bragging, I'm simply giving humble gratitude and appreciation for a system of abundance that's here for us to appreciate and massage. So often in modern agriculture, we have this idea that nature is this reluctant partner that we've got to control and get in a half Nelson and wrestle with, and I've got to make you produce this and get this and I would suggest that nature is actually a benevolent lover just desiring to be caressed in the right places. That's a real different way of looking at our ecological umbilical. Okay, let's jump on the wagons now. We're going to head up over the hill and go move the cows. In nature, herbivores are pruners so that when this forage reaches nursing home stage, senescence, here comes a giraffe, an alpaca, a bison, a caribou, a wildebeest, a zebra, a reindeer, okay, a groundhog, all right? It comes along and prunes it off like a viticulturalist would prune a grapevine or an orchardist would prune an apple tree, not to kill it, but to actually stimulate this new, verdant, freshened up growth. Everybody follow that? That's the role of the herbivore in nature. Well, how does nature do that? They do it with 3 M's. First of all, they're moving. They don't stay in the same place. You know, you watch any nature documentary and you're seeing the wildebeest migrate. They have a migratory choreography. They move from seasons and day to day. They move across. They don't stay in the same place. Number 2 is they're mobbed up. They're not all spread out off the Serengeti. They're mobbed up. Why are they mobbed up? Predator protection, yeah. So the predation keeps them mobbed up. That makes them eat way more aggressively faster, so they spend more time ruminating, chewing their cud. The whole science to that whole thing. And then the third thing is they're mowing. They're mowing. They're not eating dead chickens and dead cows and all, corn. They're eating forages and fermenting it, okay? So moving, mobbing, mowing. Got it? Moving, mobbing, mowing. If you violate any one of those three, you take what nature gives us as a blessing or an asset and turn it into a liability, okay? And the fact is that 98% of the domestic herbivores on the planet are violating at least one of those three M's, and many of them are violating all three. So to demonstrate how we duplicate nature's model, this paddock that they're in yesterday looked just like that. Okay? So this is 24 hours. So I'm going to move them now, show you what we do every day. I'm going to give them their new salad bar so that this can begin to rest, and they can now prune that over there like they pruned this overnight. All right? So just enjoy, bear with me, it'll be fine. Here we go. Come on, gals. Come on, gals. Come on. Come on, gals. Come on, gals. Come on. Come on, gals. Come on. Okay, is that not cool as grits? All right, so that's my chores. It's hard work, but somebody's got to do it. Did I say something about skill and practical knowledge up there? Yeah. So that looks real easy, but there's a whole lot behind it to make it look that easy. So what does this do? So in Augusta County, the average cow days per acre is 80 cow days per acre. In other words, the average acre will support 80 cows for 1 day a year or 1 cow for 80 days a year. Everybody with me? Okay. We average 400. And we haven't bought a bag of chemical fertilizer or planted a seed in 60 years. Okay? Again, I'm not bragging. I'm just paying homage to this incredible abundant system that's here that we're supposed to leverage. Okay? Well, just imagine, for everybody who thinks the planet's running out of food, we don't have enough food to feed everybody, imagine if the neighbor did this, and that neighbor did it, and all of Swope did it, and then if all of Augusta County did it, and if all of Virginia did it. Folks, we don't have a problem feeding ourselves. What we have a problem is constipation of imagination. That's our problem, see? And management, okay? Now, water management. So where's the water coming, that trough up there, where's that water coming from? That water is coming from a mile away from ponds that we've built up in the mountain, permaculture style, that collect surface runoff in snow melt and big rain events and store it like a savings account. So we have 8 miles of water line around all these fields that gravity feeds It gravity feeds from the ponds up there, 8 miles, no pumps, no electricity, just gravity, and gives us 70 psi water around the edge of all these fields. All right, back on the wagon. Let's go to our last stop. Okay. Oh, all right. This is the Millennium feathernet, and yes, it is named after the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. It's the coolest thing in the galaxy. All right. Instead of the fastest, it's the coolest. Okay. So there's 1,000 laying hens here. So these are laying hens, not meat chickens. These are laying hens, and so this netting here is space age technology. There's a stainless steel thread woven through the polyethylene that conducts the charge, the spark. That solar energizer powers the fence, and it keeps the chickens in, and it keeps the coyotes and foxes out. So who would have thought 50 years ago that you could have a coyote, fox, chicken-proof fence that only weighs 12 pounds per 150 feet, and you can take up and put down that barrier in 10 minutes? Who would have thought? So this is a perfect example of information technology as opposed to mass technology. If you wanted to build a barrier that would keep coyotes and foxes and possums out and chickens in 50 years ago, it would have been a very big, impressive barrier, right? Heavy, strong. Now, with this information-dense technology, it takes the mass out of it. It takes the concrete out of it. It takes the weight out of it, and you run by innovation rather than by mass, by weight. So these guys get moved about every 3 or 4 days. You see up there where they've been. And so these are like adjacent circles, all right? So you set up one fence, then you set up another fence, and you get ready to move them. You open them both up at a waist. You pull, you hook up here to the tractor. Everything just pulls through. The chickens walk into the next circle, you close that one, and then you pick this one up, and you move it up here, and you just leapfrog around the field through. So the chickens are never totally free. They're always enclosed by the netting. The house is on skids, so it's an A-frame on an X-truss on skids, so it can't roll or slide. It'll take wind. The goal here is egg production. The Eggmobile, eggs are just a byproduct of that process. Here, eggs are the product, okay? And so, same kind of chickens, all pastured, but 2 very different models for 2 different objectives, okay? Right here is a time, I think, to make a point that good farming should be aesthetically and aromatically, sensually romantic. All right? If it's ugly and or it stinks, it's probably not good farming. And if just those 2 rules were applied to agriculture, it would fundamentally change the way all of our food and farming is done in this country. So we do an all flock in, all flock out. So these all came at one time. They're one flock. So we know who the old ones and who the young ones are. So when we get ready to select our breeding flock in the spring, we'll go to our oldest birds and select the hens from that flock. And then we'll put a set of roosters on them that we held over from roosters from this year. All right? And so the hens are old, the roosters are young. Okay? And we put those together. It's certainly not a perfect breeding program, but it's as close as we can get fairly easily, with what we're doing. We participated in a study several years ago, Mother Earth News did, 12 of us in the country submitted our eggs for analysis to compare them to the USDA nutrition label on an egg carton in the store. Did about 12 different nutrients. One I'll just mention to you is folic acid, which is really important for pregnant women. And the USDA label says that an egg has 48 micrograms per egg. Our eggs average 1,038 micrograms per egg. So, we're not talking about 10% deviations here. We're talking about, Pluto and the moon difference. I mean, there's huge differences. So over the winter, they go in all those hoop houses up there at the house. We'll watch the weather, and as long as it's pretty nice, normally we can stay out here until almost Thanksgiving or even after Thanksgiving. So somewhere, give or take a week from Thanksgiving, these birds, we'll pick them up and we'll take them to the hoop house for the 100 days of hard winter. They'll come back out about March 1st. Now, while they're inside, they get deep bedding. Remember, deep bedding. We want them on compost. And in the winter, we give them whole grains just thrown on the floor. They eat about 75% of it right then, and about 25% of it, like barley, oats, wheat, sifts down into the bedding, which is warm because it's composting and has the hoop structure. It sprouts, and then the chickens dig for those sprouts, which keeps the bedding composting with aeration and gives them fresh sprouted grains in the wintertime. So this is when I recognize and give my appreciation. I know you could have been anywhere else today besides here, but you chose to spend it with us, and we respect that, honor that, and thank you for being here. We hope you'll come back. We hope you'll bring your friends, and because every tour is different. It runs a different course. Those of you who've been on more than one, everyone's just a little bit different. And the questions are different, the themes are different, people are different. So please come back when you can. And we thank you for honoring us here today with your fellowship and your presence. So now, may all of your carrots grow long and straight. May your radishes be large, but not pithy. May tomato blossom end rot affect your Monsanto neighbor's tomatoes. May the coyotes be struck blind at your pasture chickens. May the rain fall gently on your fields, the wind be always at your back, your children rise and call you blessed, and may we all make our nest a better place than we inherited. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Thanks for coming.